All right, let's dive into the AI risk landscape. Think of this as your field guide, a straightforward, non-technical look at the new challenges AI brings to the table. This is all about giving you, as a leader, the clarity you need to make smart, confident decisions.
And this quote really hits the nail on the head. We all see the enormous potential of AI, right? But with that comes a totally new kind of risk, one that's different, harder to see, and frankly, something most companies just aren't ready for yet. The goal here isn't to be alarmist, it's to get prepared.
So what makes AI risk so different? Well, it all boils down to this fundamental shift. Traditional software is like a train on a track. It follows a script we wrote for it. It's predictable. But AI learns from data. It adapts. And that means it can do things we didn't explicitly plan for. That unpredictability, that's the real source of this whole new world of risk.
We're going to break down this landscape into 7 key areas, and we have to start with the most important ones, the foundational risks. Just think of data and security as the very ground you're building on. If that ground is shaky, everything else you try to build is at risk of collapsing.
You know, everything in AI begins and ends with data. It's a simple truth. The quality of your data is the quality of your AI. Your model is just a mirror, and it reflects whatever data it's shown. So if that data is bad, or biased, or gets exposed, the AI doesn't just copy the problem, it amplifies it. It becomes a massive risk multiplier for your whole business.
And you can see how this plays out in the real world. Sensitive customer info could leak out from a chatbot. Historical data that's biased could train a hiring tool to be unfair. Or maybe incomplete financial data leads to a forecast that's just plain wrong. This is exactly why solid data governance is your absolute first line of defense.
Okay, so the other side of that foundational coin is security. Your existing cybersecurity plan is great, it's necessary, but it's not enough anymore. AI models themselves are a brand new target for attackers. They create new backdoors, new vulnerabilities, and they seriously expand your company's overall attack surface.
We're seeing attacks that just didn't exist a few years ago. Prompt injection, for instance, is where hackers literally talk an AI into breaking its own safety rules. With model extraction, they can actually steal your incredibly valuable proprietary AI model. And data poisoning is even sneakier. They corrupt the data you train your model on, sabotaging it from the inside out, sometimes without you even realizing it.
So, you've got your foundation set. What happens next? Well, once an AI is actually up and running, a whole new set of execution risks pop up. These are all the ways things can go wrong when these tools are being used day to day.
One of the biggest mistakes companies make is thinking they can just launch an AI and walk away. That is a recipe for disaster. AI is absolutely not a set-and-forget technology. It needs constant monitoring, constant oversight, because when it fails, and it can fail, it can cause some serious disruption to your business.
A perfect example of this is something called model drift. Basically, an AI's accuracy can just get worse over time. Why? Because the real world changes, but the model is stuck with its old knowledge, unless you retrain it. I mean, think about it. An AI trained on pre-pandemic data would be totally lost today. And without watching it, you'd never even know its performance was slowly tanking.
And it's not just about drift. There are other dangers too. The outputs can become unpredictable, which makes users lose trust. Or even worse, teams can start to rely on the AI so much that they stop doing their own critical human checks. And that's how huge problems can slip through the cracks and go unnoticed until real damage is done.
This brings us to a really crucial and very human piece of all this: ethics and fairness. And let's be clear, this is not some abstract philosophical problem. We're talking about AI decisions that can seriously impact real people's lives, from getting a loan, to getting a job, to getting a medical diagnosis. Getting this wrong causes real harm.
The questions you have to ask here are so important. Is your AI accidentally making biased decisions? Can you actually explain why it made a particular choice? If you can't, that's a huge red flag, because these failures don't just hurt people, they completely destroy the trust your customers and your own employees have in you.
Okay, so we've covered the risks on the ground and in execution. Now let's zoom out to the enterprise level. Because when things go wrong with AI, those problems quickly turn into very high-stakes business risks.
Listen, the Wild West days of AI, they're over. Regulations are here, and new ones are coming fast. Regulators in Europe, the US, all over the world, they have very clear expectations now. They expect you to use AI responsibly, and more importantly, they expect you to be able to prove it.
This means you have to avoid some very specific traps. Using customer data the wrong way could lead to massive fines under laws like GDPR. Not having good documentation for your AI models, that's a huge compliance gap. And for high-risk stuff, like in healthcare or finance, not having a human in the loop is a clear violation.
And of course, right behind legal risk is reputational risk. In our world of social media, AI mistakes do not stay quiet for long. A single story about a biased algorithm can go viral in an hour. And just like that, it can demolish the trust you spent decades building with your customers.
And the fallout is pretty predictable, isn't it? You get public backlash online, which leads to customers losing confidence, which then fuels a ton of negative media attention. Your brand is one of your most precious assets, and a public AI failure puts it right in the firing line.
All right, our final category looks at the biggest picture of all, the strategic choices you make, especially when it comes to the partners and vendors you bring into your world.
This is so important to remember. AI risk isn't just about what you build yourself. It's also about what you buy. The AI market is flooded with vendors, and honestly, their quality, their safety, their transparency, it's all over the place. When you pick a vendor, you are literally inheriting their entire risk profile. You're bringing it right inside your own organization.
And the difference between a good partner and a risky one, well, it's night and day. A responsible vendor is transparent. They give you documentation, they have strong security. A high-risk vendor just gives you a black box with no explanation and weak security. Choosing wrong isn't just a mistake, it's a massive strategic gamble.
So let's bring it all home. Think of this as your 7-point AI risk radar. These are the things you have to be watching constantly. Data, security, your operations, ethics, the legal landscape, your reputation, and your vendors. That right there is the full map you need to navigate.
Knowing what the risks are is the first crucial step. The next, of course, is building a real system to manage them. So we'll leave you with this question to think about. Is your organization truly prepared? Thanks for joining us.